Good afternoon, everyone. Call to order this public hearing. Today's public hearing is convened under the provisions of the Local Government Act of British Columbia to hear submissions relative to the proposed bylaw. All persons who believe that their interest in property is affected by the proposed bylaw shall be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard respecting matters in the proposed bylaw. I would ask those members of the public who wish to speak to commence your address to this board by clearly stating your name. The board will not debate the matters of a proposed bylaw with individual citizens, but members may ask questions of you following your presentation. The main function of this public hearing is to listen to your views. No one will be or should feel discouraged or prevented from making their views heard. Temporary use permit number TUP 80, bylaw 2883, would allow the use of 2 recreational vehicles for non-commercial year-round accommodation for a maximum of 1 year at the subject property on 8637 Holding Road, Lower Adams River, BC. Ms. Corporate Officer, are there any written submissions?
No written submissions have been received.
Thank you. Are there any in-person submissions? Calling a first time for in-person submissions. No one online. Calling a second time for in-person submissions. And calling a third and final time for in-person submissions. Thank you. There being no further speakers, I declare this public hearing closed. Little ceremonial tap. And go straight into welcome to TNRD board meeting for Thursday, January 22nd, 2026. The TNRD acknowledges that we connect with many First Nations communities across our vast regional district, and today we are located on Tecumlip's Secwepemc territory, situated within the unceded ancestral lands of the Secwepemc Nation. The TNRD appreciates the partnership that we have with Tecumlip's Secwepemc, and we respect the territory and land on which we gather today. Chair's announcements. First of all, lovely card from Yale County 4-H Club. Yale County 4-H Club would like to thank you for your sponsorship at the 2025 Provincial Winter Fair. Your support is greatly appreciated. Sincerely, Yale County Beef and Lamb 4-H Club, signed by a dozen or so members of the club. Thought you'd like that, Director Hodden. The TNRD would like to acknowledge the passing of Louise Simpson, a longtime library staff member who retired in September 2024 after 28 years of service. Her death was sudden and deeply felt. She was valued by both patrons and by staff for her outstanding work in library home service and for her remarkable ability to connect with the public. Many patrons knew her well and regularly sought her out for her thoughtful, personalized reading recommendations. She also hosted a much-loved book club. Her dedication to the library and the relationships she built up over many years will be fondly remembered. The TNRD also acknowledges the passing of Dr. Ruby Dunstan, the first female chief of Lytton First Nation, who passed away earlier this month, aged 84. Dr. Dunstan was a passionate defender of the land, not as property, but as a living memory and a responsibility for all. A proud member of the Nlaka'pam First Nation, she was determined to protect her nation's traditional lands in the Stein River Valley from industrial logging. Working with First Nations, government, and industry partners over many years, she was key in establishing the Stein Valley Nlaka'pam Heritage Park in 1995, safeguarding these lands for future generations. In 2015, she was awarded an honorary Doctor of Laws from University of Victoria and was thrilled to be able to be addressed as Dr. Dunstan. In 2016, she received the Government of Canada's Meritorious Service Medal from Governor-General David Johnston. She was also a recipient of the Canadian Parks and Wilderness Society's J.B. Harkin Conservation Award and the Queen's Golden Jubilee Medal. She was a former student at St. George's Residential School in Lytton. She used those experiences later to help her after she had trained as a social worker and worked as a social care worker for many years in Lytton to help others come forward about the abuses they suffered. The work that she did helped to pave the way for the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which she began campaigning for many years before it was established in 2008. She is being remembered as someone who did not speak softly when the truth was required, who did not step back when standing firm was the only option, and whose lifelong commitment to the Nhlaka'pamux Nation was not symbolic. It was lived and carried through decades of resistance, advocacy, and education. Grand Chief Stuart Phillip noted that Dr. Dunstan's mantra was, "No wishy-washy." Film Commission news. Kamloops has once again been named one of the best places to live and work as a movie maker, this time for 2026 by Movie Maker magazine. This marks the 4th year in a row that Kamloops has been recognized by Movie Maker magazine as one of the best places to live and work as a movie maker. This recognition reflects what productions and creatives continue to discover here every day: a film-friendly community, diverse and accessible locations, strong local crews, and incredible support for the screen industry. From independent projects to major productions, Kamloops continues to prove that it is a place where filmmakers can both work and thrive. Library update. The TNRL is excited to announce that the North Kamloops Library is beginning its refresh project starting on February 2nd. The library is planning to stay open as work progresses in phases and is expected to be completed in early summer. The TNRL is extremely thankful for a donation of $95,000 from a Kamloops resident, which will be put towards developing the expanded children's area as part of a future project. Upcoming meetings and events. On February 12th, the Accessibility Advisory Committee will be meeting at 10. Regular board meeting will follow at 1:30 p.m. on February 12th, and on Friday, February 13th, and not unlucky at all, we will be having a committee of the whole meeting starting at 9. Today in your blue folders, you will find a code of conduct attestation, which you are asked to please sign and give to Livia or leave in your blue folders. Kamloops Airport's BCAAP application, Air Terminal Rehabilitation Project Letter, which supports an item in the agenda, and the 2026 Thompson-Nicola Film Commission calendar. And finally, in the event of an emergency, if the fire alarm sounds, please leave by the safest exit doors, either at the rear of the room or the main entrance. Go down the staircase, exit the building, and assemble in the staff car parking lot at the rear of the Paramount Theatre. Please do not run, do not use the elevators. If you have issues with mobility, please advise the corporate officer. All right, are there any additions to or deletions from the agenda? Seeing none, we have the minutes of the regular board meeting held way back on December 11th.
Second.
Vice Chair Smith, seconded by Director Middleton. Thank you very much. Are there any errors or omissions? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Bylaws from public hearing. We have temporary use permit bylaw number 2883 TUP 80. We do have 2 recommendations. Director Blackwell, thank you. Seconded by Director Thorpe. Is there any discussion on this? Questions, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? That is carried. Recommendation 2. Thank you, Director Smith, seconded by Director Newstader. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Delegations invited presentations. Delighted to welcome the Kamloops White Cane Club back to the Thompson-Nicola Regional District. We have Member Vern Short, a Vice President, White Cane Club Director and Public Relations, Canadian Council of the Blind, BC Yukon Division. And this is regarding National White Cane Week, which is being held from February 1st to 7th. The floor is yours, sir, and welcome.
Once again, thank you for a return engagement. It's a pleasure always to inform my targeted group as to promoting education and raising awareness towards blindness. Madam Chair, before I get fully engaged in my presentation, I have two reflective Indigenous designed reflectors I'd like to present to yourself, Madam Chair, and the Vice Chair. Is there somebody that could? And I would also like to pass.
Do you want them passed around?
Yes, yeah. I have two canes to pass around to the members. So good afternoon, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the board, and to the members of the gallery. Thank you for this opportunity to make a presentation. As we all know and hope to realize, that blindness does not discriminate against anyone in society today, whether your social, economic backgrounds, whatever the status is, it does not discriminate. The following numbers that I'm going to give you once again this year just happens to certainly blow my mind. That what was brought to my attention this year was the fact that 749,800 individuals across Canada have been diagnosed with diabetic retinopathy, which is a mouthful, I know. And standing by, it's going to be a recognized explosion with diabetes. Therefore, our healthcare system is going to have to be ready to deal with this incredible number. So I would be remiss if I did not introduce my colleague from the White Cane Club, my friend, Wally.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Without further ado, why is White Cane Week, February 1st through the 7th, why is it so important to promote education and raise awareness across Canada? Well, the simple fact that it gives the blind community an opportunity to help educate and raise awareness about blindness, and to perhaps help you think about how lucky you are with vision. Last year, I think I asked everybody as to please think about getting an annual eye examination. Show of hands, how many have an eye exam? Lovely, that's great. I'm so pleased for you. I could go on all day with numbers and statistics and what it means to the cost of Canada's economy with vision loss. It certainly means I don't have the great numbers to share with you today, but just imagine Last year, I quoted 252,000 British Columbians with vision loss, significant vision loss. And that's with having corrective lenses. So within those confines now, there's at least 280,000. And BC is second to the province of Ontario with 682,000. Sadly, the numbers will never decrease. So with White Cane Week in mind, the white cane symbolizes blindness, courage, and independent spirit for that individual. The white cane, once you see the white cane on the street, it simply means to be to be courteous to that individual and give them room to walk down their path. Do not provide obstacles. And yes, these days there's still signage obstacles that restaurants or retail businesses like to put in front of a sidewalk. Well, if people would realize that that signage can be an obstacle to someone with a white cane. So once again this year, February 13th marks the bowling challenge of the sighted versus the Kamloops blind bowling team at Falcon Lanes, February 13th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So what I say to you people, to this body, to the members of the directors, dust off your bowling shoes, come out and join us in 2 games of bowling, which is paid for by the club. Your shoe rental is also paid, but come and show us your skills in bowling. I don't have too much more to say other than February 1st to the 7th of February, as I say, since 1944, has been recognized as White Cane Week. Today, there are over 5 million residents across Canada with one kind of vision loss from the major eye conditions these days, or diseases, that being cataracts, macular degeneration, glaucoma, and as I mentioned, diabetic retinopathy, which we will be seeing an explosion in that. Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, and directors of the board, that concludes my presentation for today. Thank you.
Well, thank you as always, Mr. Short, for your presentation, and thank you for reminding us of the bowling challenge. February 13th is, of course, a committee of the whole meeting day. We should be wrapping up around noon. So I think that we should be able to get a few people to go and take you up on that bowling challenge. So have a think, people, if you are living in Kamloops or you're here and don't have to get away home immediately on the 13th, perhaps we should consider heading out to Falcon Lanes. And I know for my part, I give you all a really good laugh if you watched me try to bowl. So there we go.
Madam Chair, it's not about the ability, it's about having fun. And it's about the blind community, members showing how others, showing the sighted, that we too can participate in society and it's about having fun as well. I myself, I'm a former blind curling individual, lawn bowling, certainly 5-pin bowling. We just happen to do things differently. And so don't let Friday the 13th scare you off. I won't wear a mask that day, but certainly come out and have fun. And that's what it's about. But at the same time, again, I encourage you to have your eyes examined through an optometrist or an ophthalmologist if you're lucky to find one in Kamloops. So thank you again. Is there any questions?
Does anyone have any questions? Director Bass?
Not a question, just a thank you, Vern, for being here. I had my eyes tested 2 days ago, and the clinic had to bring an ophthalmologist up from Vancouver to handle all the patients who are going in to get their eyes checked. So your message is getting out there.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you very much, Vern. Thank you, Wally, for coming today.
Thank you. You're letting me off easy.
We're saving it up for the bowling challenge.
Thank you.
Our next delegation is from Big Little Science Center, and according to my notes here, we have Big Little Science Center President Annette Glover, Vice President Terry Lake, and Executive Director Gord Stewart. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, directors. Actually, we had an election and I won. So I took over the chair of the Big Little Science Center this past year, but a big thank you to Annette Glover, who has served on the board for well over 20 years. We also have Dr. Tom Dickinson, former Dean of Science at TRU, is one of our board members here today, and a couple of other board members, Sheila Marks and Kaylee Janowski, who were unable to be here. But it's a real pleasure for me to just open up the presentation today. Gord's going to give it because he knows way more about the center than I do. But our objective is just to create awareness. The Big Little Science Center just had their 25-year anniversary. And many of you know, I mean, I recognize so many familiar faces around the table. You've been around for a while. You know the Big Little Science Center has always contributed not just to Kamloops, but the greater regional district as well through outreach, and obviously as a place for young people to come when they're in town to learn about science and give their worn parents a little respite as they go about their business in Kamloops. So I'd like to ask our Executive Director, Gord Stewart, to come down and give you a presentation. Then Annette, Tom, and I would be happy to answer any questions you might have afterwards. Thank you.
Thanks, Tara. I should turn this up a little bit. That's middle one. Okay, perfect. All right. So first question, how many people have been to the Big Little Science Center? Well, that's not too bad. Glad you could come. Everybody else is welcome anytime. I'm just going to flash through these slides and talk a little bit about it. We just had our mission and vision and values redone recently. So on the screen, you can see what we have there. A world driven by curiosity, discovery, and critical thinking is our vision. Basically, we want to see people that critical thinking is a big part of what we need in society today. And the rest of that shows that's kind of what direction we're going to be going in. Science is everything around us. Whether you believe it or not, it's mixed up with everything we're doing, including speaking in this mic, all that kind of thing. So it's kind of handy to have. And easiest way to learn science, we believe, is hands-on and by doing it. So that's what the Science Center is about, is getting out there and actually doing it, trying it, seeing what it does. You don't necessarily have to understand it right away. So here we have some examples of some kids having fun at the Science Center. You can do it that way too. You see we have a booth out in the public. We can make some really big bubbles if you like. that rocket went the length of a football field that that child is about to stomp on. Why is it important to us? It underlies what we do in everything. The one big thing we have in the blue there, sort of been highlighted, is we have some real world challenges coming up right now with the way we're going. We're going to have to get a lot of electricity quick and store it well if we're going to electrify the world. So the future kids is the one that's going to solve that for us. So we have pandemics, as we know, go along. We have to feed 8 billion people or more. So these challenges is what we're going to drop on the next generation. So we're helping bring those people along. We don't always just talk about kids. We do adult learning society. We actually cover from preschool right through to retirement. We do activities around, we work with the adult learning society in Kamloops. They do programming with us. We do some programming through the university for different age groups. So we get mixed up with everybody. So how we present our community and the regional district as a whole, we are a tourist attraction for one. We bring in people from all around the world. We've had a person from every continent visit the Science Center. We had a little pin map up for that. Even somebody claimed Antarctica, so I queried them about that, and they said they just came back from Antarctica, so they figured they put the pin up. They didn't actually live there for more than a week. So we are affordable, our hands-on. We're also a cultural institution. There is a culture of science within Kamloops, and we're part of that. So do you remember? Our customers are from tourists around the world and right here in Kamloops. We do go out in the regional district as well. We do off-site programming. We take our equipment and we go to schools and communities around the regional district and take our stuff there. The one limiting factor with that is getting the funding to support staff to go out and do that. So, but we do get out when we can, when we get grants or donations for that kind of thing, we go out in the community and do it. We also bring in homeschool kids from the regional district from a fairly wide area. We do regular programming for homeschoolers that come in and they get to have activities and things they wouldn't normally get at home. So we get them involved in some different science activities. And we have after school clubs and camps, which we also draw students from that homeschool community and from around the regional district to come to us. So that's what we're all about. In the end, we're building the next generation of scientists, technicians, engineers, mathematicians, problem solvers, and general people of the community that have a critical mind and look at things and ask why and how, and find out what's going on in the world. Continuing learning is a big part of what we like to do, is just always be learning about something new. So there's some quick slides for you. It's the last one I've got. Guess we can go to questions now.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Are there any questions about Big Little Science Center, science, STEM opportunities? Director O'Reilly.
And I was just going to jump in and say, I forgot to mention that Councillor O'Reilly is also a board member. He's been so busy lately, he hasn't been to a meeting for a while.
Yeah, well.
That's okay. We docked his pay.
Yeah.
So he'll be at the next one.
How long are you president for again, Terry?
2 weeks.
Just wondering, Gord, if you could just talk a little bit about the spring break camps and the summer camps for kids, because we did one program last summer and the value was incredible compared to what the other camps were charging and what they were doing. And I think it's just such an asset for young families to be able to have their kids active during the summer. If you can touch on those programs, thank you.
Yeah, so we have week-long camps during the school district spring break. So that's this year it's March 16 and 23. So those two, each week we have a camp that runs from 9 till 3 every day. And we have a 20 to 25 kids come in per camp and they spend the day doing all the range of science. We cover biology, geology, chemistry, physics, a bit of anthropology, anything we can sort of come up with. Each camp is different. And we run those for those 2 weeks of spring break. We also do camps during Pro D days. So the parents can have an opportunity to bring their kids there. We do camps around the Christmas break as well. Same sort of, the Christmas break ones, depending on where Christmas lands, are not necessarily a full week. They can be days or other days. And we found parents like the opportunity to hand off the kids during the Christmas break so they can go out and shop without them. And then in the summer, we run 9 to 10 week-long camps, ranging from robotics, engineering, 3D design, and then general science and a whole range of different topics. Does that answer the question? Okay, thanks.
Director O'Connor?
Thank you. As a retired educator, we brought our students in from Lytton many, many times for field trips into Kamloops, and the Big Little Science Center was a place that we visited and certainly appreciated the hands-on learning and the engaging opportunities they have there. I think you mentioned outreach programs. Do you go out to some of the rural communities to do those programs?
Yes, we do. We take some programs on the road when we can. Like I say, some of it's limited, as always, there's the budgetary restraints, but we have the equipment and the staff, just getting them out there is the issue. But when we get funding, we do go out to some of the communities as far as we can. We've been way up north and all around. So we do, we take some of our labs that from bringing your classes. We also take specific programming around the robotics. Other times it's just general science. Or we we actually get out to some of the career fairs as well and bring our booth along and do some education and career learning opportunities.
Director Houghton?
Thank you. I just want to say you're more than welcome to come up and work with the ranching community in and around the Kamloops area. I think their doors would always be open to if there's any kind of tours that we could fit into for the kids to learn. We're close to Kamloops, and I'm pretty sure working with Tom Dickinson in the past, the Kamloops Naturalist Club, those kind of things that I know all my neighbors, especially in the South Country, would more than welcome trying to assist and help the kids learn the land. So you're more than welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for the invitation.
And what would it take from a smaller community? I'm thinking of Ashcroft, which is where I'm from, to come out. We have the Ashcroft Hub, which is a community facility in Ashcroft. They do their own summer camps, but they're always looking for programming for children. Would someone from the hub just reach out to Big Little Science Center and speak to you about coming out to possibly do a day-long camp?
Yes, they should do that actually, because we did have a brief conversation a couple of years ago, I think with the hub. We didn't finish that off, so please have them reach out.
Perfect, thank you. Anyone else have any questions or comments? Director Onslow?
Thank you very much. My question, if you were to come to a community and can the community organization provide the funding for that? Like if that was something, I'm in Blue River, but if the parents wanted to pay to have you guys come, is that something available?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes, it would be definitely something we'd do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Nope. Well, thank you again for a very interesting presentation, and don't be surprised if you get a few phone calls.
Once again, thank you very much for your time and thank you for your public service. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks.
All right, we move on to item 9, unfinished business. Is there any? What? Right. All right, unfinished business. Is there any such? No unfinished business. We move on to question period. Are there any questions from members of the public? Anyone online with hands up? Anyone in the gallery who has questions? Don't see anyone. All right, we move on to 11.1, zoning amendment bylaw number 2907. We do have 2 recommendations.
Move on.
Director O'Reilly, thank you. Seconded by Director Graham, thank you. Any discussion on this? No questions, comments? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? That is carried. We have a second recommendation. Move to Director
Move to.
Middleton. Thank you. Seconded by Director Graham. Thank you very much. Any discussion on the second recommendation? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. 11.2 zoning amendment bylaw number 2867. We again have a brace of recommendations. Recommendation 1,
Move one
move, who was that? Sorry.
over here.
Director Sal, thank you very much. Director Smith seconds that. Any discussion on this item? Questions, comments? No? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Move 2, Director Newstater, thank you. Seconded by Director Kerslake. Questions or comments? Director Thorpe.
Sorry, the second one, when they're talking about these rabbits, I know that they say that they're going to see about making sure that the rabbits stay within their area. But there have been, in recent years, a number of, there's been a disease that's been attacking rabbits. And I'm wondering about biosecurity. Is this something that we want to even look at, or that we should be maybe aware of when we're doing this zoning amendment?
Mr. Kraus?
Through the chair, yes, I think that's some of the questions we're trying to ask, and we're asking the applicant to provide more information about how this will work. It's a little bit unique in the sense that the use is a cafe or restaurant. Whether there's rabbits there or not is almost not part of this, but because the owner declared that's what they're doing, and if I'm a member of the public, I'd be asking some of these questions, we felt it's important. If that's what they're proposing, they should have answers to that. So what we're recommending here with this motion is that they provide that information so they can be disclosed at public hearing for the public and for the board prior to making the final decision.
Thank you. Director Sal.
Thank you. Actually, in relation to that, pet kind of themed restaurants is not new. Is this a requirement for a report in line with what other municipalities or regional district does when these businesses come up? Thank you.
Through the chair, I have to admit, I think this is a fairly unique and new type of use. There's not too many. Even the applicant and the owners declaring that. There's one in Vancouver that they're aware of. Interior Health's not so sure that this is doable. So there's still some questions that need to be answered, and that's what we've asked them to provide so that you can make a decision ultimately. It's one of those where we don't want the applicant spending money approving all these things before they even have the comfort of first reading. So that's why we're taking this interim step to at least give them comfort to go answer some of these questions.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? On the question, all those in favor? Anyone opposed? That is carried. 12.1.1 CAO verbal report, over to CAO Hildebrand.
Thank you, Chair Roden. I just have a handful of updates for the board today. First one being a budget update. Our budget discussion will again be reconvened in February at the committee of the whole meeting to follow up on several requests as well as provide updates from the past few weeks. Our finance team is working hard to close our 2025 year end and update projects. Surplus will certainly have an impact on our final budget for 2026, given that we asked staff to pull back on expenses in the last few months of the year. Staff will be presenting to the board budget options with regards to our solid waste fees and development services fees as requested. We will also be providing an overview of our mobile library service for information as we continue to review that throughout this year. We will be building in final BC assessment numbers and values to determine where our budget stands, and final adoption will then come to the board in March. From a strategic plan standpoint, in a few agenda items going forward here, Mr. Davies is going to provide a status update on our TNRD strategic plan as we finish off 2025. Time goes fast, yet we have come a long way over the last 3 years and have accomplished some great work. One more status update will be provided to the board in July to conclude our work and look forward to building a 2027 to 2030 strategic plan with the new board. Post-election, and once the new board has been oriented, we will again go through this process in creating this strategic plan, and I'm sure it'll continue to build on some of the great success we've had so far. The third topic is just, again, kind of relating to that, the final year of the term. And that being said, we are moving into the final year, as you all know, with the board. We as staff will continue to finish the term strong and ensure we're meeting expectations with our strategic plan, our capital projects, and the many initiatives we have across the region. We'll be adding a number of important projects in relation to the upcoming election in 2026. And we'll include an improved and enhanced orientation guide for board members and those that are wishing to run for election. We have already booked a regional training opportunity for all of our member municipalities and councillors to join in, so we can train together and get some efficiency in that. We have already started work on the massive task of coordinating and running the election, which will take a lot of time from our legislative team, which they're already started working on. And because we basically have 8 months to be prepared for that. And then finally, my last update before I hand it over to Mr. Kelly for a quick update on SILGA. I wanted to thank Corbin for organizing a public speaking event that's coming up with Reese Harding. This event we have planned with Reese on February 13th, 2026 at 1:30. We have him providing an online session for both our regional elected officials and staff members to provide facts on and education on training and several Indigenous topics. We have reached out to the City of Kamloops. We've reached out to SILGA as well to help support and have their members join us with more information to come. So you'll be seeing more details from Mr. Kelly and Livia in the days to come for that upcoming event. And now if I could just pass it over to Mr. Kelly for a quick update on SILGA resolutions.
Thanks, CEO Hildebrand. Good afternoon, everyone. You would have seen an email from me yesterday morning regarding SILGA resolutions. So SILGA and Revelstoke this year, very exciting, but deadlines for resolutions are coming up fast. The deadline for us to get resolutions to the SILGA board is February 20th. So with that being said, we're hopeful that directors who wish to put forward resolutions for consideration will be able to get them to myself before January 30th. That will give myself, as well as the director wishing to put forward a resolution, enough time to work through it, make sure that it's framed appropriately, and so that it can then be on the agenda for the board's meeting on February 12th to be certified by the board before we send it off to SILGA. Once it's at SILGA, it will be debated. If it's approved, then it will go to UBCM to be debated again and then sent to the province for further consideration. That's all I have, unless there's any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? All right. Thank you very much. Oh, Director Middleton? Nope, don't run away. You might not get off that like that. Oh,
not
okay.
actually, just back to CEO Hildebrand. Just you mentioned the Reese Harding educational session. And did you say February 16th?
I believe I said
13th,
February
okay.
13th at
13th,
1:30.
sorry, I wrote it down wrong. 16th is a holiday and I was just looking
You're-
at that thinking, okay, this
Perfect.
might not work so well. So
Nope.
thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, we move on to 12.1.2 for information, BC Hydro Public EV Fast Charging Station Initiative Update for Clearwater. Anyone have any questions or comments on this? I'm looking at you, Director Blackwell. You didn't have to say anything. But,
No, I thought library was going to comment on it, but yeah. So really, EV charging stations. There are multiple. I think it's 8 or 9 Tesla charging ports in Clearwater, very close to where the library location is. This is happening because BC Hydro is taking over multiple charging stations in the North Thompson Valley that were previously run by MOTT. So their budget has now been focused on getting those existing stations, Little Fort and Wirecache come to mind, up to speed. If you are trying to charge your EV in Clearwater, if you have an adapter, most EVs can charge on Tesla stations. Older ones cannot, but for now, that's what you're needing about. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on this? Director Sao? No? Okay. 12.1.3 Invasive Plant Control Contract Award. A reminder that this is a weighted vote on this item, and we do have a recommendation. Director Stankey, seconded by Director Ranta. Thank you. Questions or comments? All right, all those in favor? Anyone opposed? That is carried. All right, strategic plan update. Over to Mr. Davis.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Thank you, everyone, for having me here. We'll just get the presentation up there. We've been doing this twice a year, the strategic plan progress update, to kind of highlight some of the main updates and projects and initiatives that we've done and how it connects with your strategic plan. And I'll try and keep this to about half the amount of time it took when I was here doing this in the summer. So I'll try and talk for no more than 10 minutes. So I better get started. Here's the cover of whatever was passed around to everybody. And this is available on our website too. We update in the bottom left there, January 2026. So if you go to our strategic plan webpage, if you want to look at any of the archives, the design's the same, but the contents are it's a living document basically. So we're updating it every 6 months. If you wanted to look at and compare previous updates we've given to you. Strategic focus area 1, livability and the built environment. Don't try to read this too closely. I'm going to snap through to some pictures here of some of the main stuff. Starting with a couple in this section of celebrations we did for probably the biggest projects that our staff worked on last year for capital projects. The Monty Creek Fire Hall project, that's done. And grand opening was held on September 13th. I wasn't there, but it looks like it was really well attended, and a lot of you probably have firsthand knowledge of that. It's pretty easy to see this hall from the highway and easy to see the construction progress if you were driving by the Hook Road exit during the calendar year last year. There was a plaque unveiled at the site. Do I have a photo of that? I'm just trying to flip through here. I don't know if the clicker died here. There it is, sorry. So there's the plaque that's on site that some of you would have seen. As some of you might know, Ed and Linda Herman, the late Ed Herman, donated the land that the fire hall was built on. It was obviously part of their property, and they had a house fire in, I believe it was June 2021, unfortunately, where Ed passed away. So we wanted to really make a point of recognizing the generous donation. They had already planned to donate land for a fire hall before the tragic fire, and they upheld the donation after Ed's passing. So that was part of the opening of the fire hall, of course. The fire service has been available in Monty Creek for 3 years, since the start of 2023 after it was approved in referendum. Now the Monty Creek Fire Department has its own hall. It doesn't have to operate out of Pritchard anymore, and they have a full functioning roster. And there's about 355 properties within that service area, and essentially closes a gap, if you will, between Kamloops and Pritchard for where there was fire protection in that Highway 1 Shuswap Road corridor on both sides of the river. Well, here's some more photos. Yeah, pretty well attended. Thanks to Janice and Fire Protection taking some photos. Even Ember, the Fire Smart Fox, was there flipping burgers. The other grand opening event we held was in October, late October, for the Clearwater Library. The actual library was closed for most of last year because of this pretty extensive renovation on the inside and outside of the facility. And the library had been operating out of the Dutch Lake Community Center. So our staff were pretty appreciative of the group up there for making sure that people in Clearwater in the area still had a library space. It did reopen in September, and then the grand opening was held almost 2 months later. And yeah, closed for about 8 months. It got a new roof, new siding, a new front entrance, an accessible walkway to a side entrance. Kind of hard to see in the right photo there on the right side of the building. Washrooms were upgraded, new furnishings, wall decals. There's a larger kids area. And this was fully funded there was a one-time grant for libraries that was received in 2023 in the springtime there. So that money was kicking around and available for this project. There's some photos from the grand opening event. some kids who were happy and willing to get their photo taken. Last project update for this section is Spence's Bridge groundwater drilling. This happened in early December. I don't know if any of you are watching Landman like I am, but this is kind of like our drilling exploratory version of Landman at the TNRD. Kind of the closest we get to it, except we're drilling for clean water, not oil. So this happened at a location on Chucker Crescent in Spence's Bridge. There was a test well drilled. The reports back where it appears to be a productive aquifer. So next steps are pump testing to verify the quality and quantity of water here. So there's a existing aquifer for this system because it's sourced by groundwater, and there are 3 wells within that aquifer. And this is basically to look for where we can put a well outside of that aquifer as sort of a backup water source if we need. And it's fully funded by CCBF, the Canada Community Building Fund. So it's fully grant funded when we've done the studying and now the actual drilling here for this work. So similar work through grant funding, the Utilities Committee would be well aware, is also planned for our water systems in Del Oro, Evergreen, and Maple Mission, with hopes of the same groundwater exploration drilling. And there is a full report. I understand Jamie's told me that you can expect to come back to the board at some time this year with kind of updates on all 4 of these groundwater drilling projects. If you were to read through the progress update report, I've just listed a few other project updates where we've put asterisks besides projects that have been updated. Our OCP projects, zoning amendments for secondary dwellings, dwelling units and additional dwellings, South Kamloops library planning, North Kamloops library upgrades. Our solid waste B train trailer replacement project was finished. The Pritchard water treatment plant is well underway and going to be done this year. Pritchard wastewater sewer plant work for planning continues there, and planning also on the Wallachine Reservoir. Chair, maybe I'll stop for a second in case there were any questions for strategic focus area 1 before I go to number 2, and I think this will be the longest one.
Okay. This one will be the longest one, or the next one will be the longest one?
The one we just did, you survived it. Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions on the first one? Director Lepso.
I think Director Houghton can help me. When they did the fire hall, they named one of the fire trucks as well. They named one of the fire trucks as well after the family. Yeah.
They put Ed on the side of one of the trucks. Yes, David.
Anyone else have any questions, comments on the first section? All right, on to number 2.
Strategic focus area 2, relationships and reconciliation. I just want to highlight one project that I didn't talk about last summer in this, and that's the Parks and Trails Strategic Plan. Obviously, the board approved that last year. There are 23 recommendations, 6 strategic goals in that plan to improve the quantity and the supply of parks in the TNRD. I know the committee of the whole got a big update on the implementation plan that our community services staff will be working on over the next 2 years with some of the more short-term and long-term goals that they're working through as part of this plan. I put it in this section in part because there was a lot of collaboration last year with First Nations, with in general residents and stakeholders across the TNRD, and obviously a big focus on many of the First Nations in the TNRD as well. So there was truly a ton of input that went into public engagement and public feedback that helped formulate this plan. So it was a pretty good success for that relationships piece. And again, a lot more physical, actual work on the ground to come from that. A few other items that were updated in this section were projects around cultural awareness training, our external partnerships, our MOU agreements. There was one signed with Nisconlith in recent weeks here, and staff development and training as well. Were there any questions on this section, Chair?
Any questions or comments here? No. Thank you very much. On to number 3.
Number 3, economic sustainability and resiliency, probably more of a focus on sustainability with just some of the projects highlighted. So we had the launch of the agricultural plastics recycling pilot program. The Solid Waste Committee would be well aware of this. I'm sure Director Houghton would be able to explain it better than I can, but I'm going to take a stab at it. So there's the 4-year pilot program. We've partnered with Clean Farms. It started in June actually last year, and it goes till December 2028. So 4 calendar years. So far, there have been 8 compactors provided to 3 larger ranches within the TNRD for baling plastics on their property. So they take those compactors, bale the material. Clean Farms takes it and connects it with end markets to be recycled, ultimately kept out of landfills. So there are plans, our solid waste department are working to onboard additional TNRD ranches in 26 and 27. They're actually working on an ad, I believe right now, for one of the newspapers that will encourage ranchers to contact us if they want to get involved in this program sometime in the next 3 years. This program cost is $134,500. I believe there was supposed to be grant funding or potentially grant funding that didn't come through for this, and so it was scaled back. But still a pretty good program for what it is now. And right now, the number that the solid waste department has is they're expecting at least 66 tons of plastics to be diverted from landfills as a result of this program. And that's just, again, a handful of larger ranches, albeit, but really just a handful of ranches in the TNRD over that, a small window, a 4-year span. Trunk sales, we held events with a band in the fall, so that's kind of cool. We had the trunk sales in Clearwater, at the Sportsplex parking lot, and in Chase at the curling rink parking lot on back-to-back days on the first weekend of October. The trunk sale is basically a community-wide garage sale to sell, trade, or donate your used items. The benefits are promoting reuse in communities, keeping usable items out of the landfill, and decluttering your home. For each event, there was space for up to 40 vendors, and we were completely full with vendors at both events. So there was really good uptake there. Local interest was very high, and maybe some people just went to see the folk band Bushman. That's just a cool touch, I don't know. And we had done trunk sales before in 2015, so this was kind of a relaunch of the program that we'd done. And I do know in 2026, we're looking at continuing this. So, and it looks like there's 4 events that our solid waste staff are planning for this year in Chase and Clearwater again, but also in Barrier and Merritt. So stay tuned for those. We'll obviously have more to come once that's all organized. Last but not least, for strategic focus area 3, in the fall, we launched our construction and demolition waste toolkit. So this was a ton of work throughout the year by the solid waste staff working with stakeholders, mainly developers, but this also benefits contractors. The reason for this toolkit, there's this program, about 54% of construction waste can be diverted from landfills if you separate your wood waste, metals, asphalt, shingles. So it keeps those items out of the landfill, and it can save thousands of dollars for contractors and DIYers. So there's good reason to get behind this. So we have a new estimated waste rates calculator on our webpage. I've tried to highlight it on the right side there. It might be a bit small. We have a whole section of the website built out for this now with about 7 different pages there. We have a new interactive map to search properties and asbestos risk based on buildings that are known there. We have a voluntary waste tracking form sheets, and then of course the C&D waste toolkit. Many of you may have seen it in our lobby reception area there, and it's available in more than 50 places in the TNRD, mainly government building official locations, really the municipalities, and also all of the solid waste sites, and then hardware stores across the TNRD. So there's a lot of different places where the public can just grab one of these if they choose. A few other projects that were updated in the file here, Blue River water main replacement planning. e-billing sign-up campaign, because every few months we seem to have more notice of a Canada Post strike, so we're blasting that out more and more for our utility customers. And I know there is an update for the board and a report here this week on the Community Grant Writer Pilot Program and how that went in 2025. So were there any questions here, Chair?
Questions or comments? No? All right, thank you. Next.
Number 4, emergency planning and response. Few projects here. The free address sign program. This was launched in September, and at the end of the year, we had 1,083 requests for free address signs from electoral area residents, property owners. And that doesn't include ones who inquired where, you know, they're in a municipality or another regional district where it didn't apply. So we had many, many more inquiries than that. And we've actually got 1,083 addresses with signs on order in the first few months there. So this was fully grant funded. The TNRD got a $100,000 grant from UBCM to do this program. The purpose being to ensure that properties have, you know, proper emergency grade signs, so it's easier for emergency services people to find you in an event of an emergency, like a medical event, an evacuation situation, that kind of thing. So having a proper sign that's properly placed and reflective like this, like the sign in this picture, goes a long way. So yeah, the biggest, huge demand and the biggest questions we're getting now is, where's my sign? I ordered it in September, and why can't I have 2? So we're lots of customer service with this one. And the program's continuing into 2026. Somebody told me the math a little while ago, but I can't remember what it is, so I'm not going to try for the cost of producing each sign. But basically, there's a ton of grant money left, is how I interpreted it. So we have this available really until the grant money runs out. And again, that it only made a dent in it with all those requests we had in the few months there once this launched. And people can order a request to sign online. We have a web page set up for that too. This was another grant-funded program last year, Community Emergency Response Organizations. So these are groups in our rural areas, specifically ones outside of a recognized structural fire protection area, where community groups could sign up to have PPE funded and have basic wildfire suppression and safety training funded. So there was an update given to the board in July, and by the end of the year, it turned out with the $100,000 grant, we were able to directly support 13 groups. The photo on the left is an actual fire that occurred in Tranquil Valley on BC Day weekend. And the group there, the Tranquil Valley Community Association, had just finished their basic training with the funding they received from this program maybe a week or 2 before this. And in a best case scenario, those groups are able to respond as being boots on the ground in a safe way to emerging wildfire before passing it off to the BC Wildfire Service. And that's exactly what happened here. So this was a success story. They were able to get a good handle on this before BC wildfire crews showed up. And there was good cooperation, I understand, with how this all rolled out. And within the same weekend, the fire was basically in mop-up, and the community association worked on it for several days, I understood, before it was out. And again, this was August long weekend. We were well into very hot and dry weather. So you imagine that photo taken probably very soon after it started could have been a whole lot worse and didn't really get much more than that. So that was really the whole benefit of this program. So we wanted to highlight that. We actually highlighted that in a news release that went out close to the end of the year. I mentioned this was all done with $100,000 in grant funding, and groups could get up to $10,000 each. So some used that, not all did, which is why 13 equals $100,000. Our understanding right now as staff is that that will not be continuing as a grant in 2026. So we're not sure what that means at this point going forward. But great success seen last year in getting groups trained. Really quickly, just to highlight on some of the Fire Smart programming from 2025. It was a big year for our Fire Smart program. For multiple years, we'd heard of requests from the public about requesting a rebate program like some other local governments have for Fire Smart work. So we finally got that launched and up and going in 2025. We had two different streams of funding for the rebate program. Electoral area properties owners of any age could get up to $500 back if they did their own mitigation work. And seniors 65 and older could get up to $750. So we processed 58 rebates and provided more than $38,000 in rebate funding to those electoral area property owners. And it's likely that, that $38,000 in work that was refunded probably was preventative maintenance for millions of dollars of property and property values. Obviously, the benefit of Fire Smart. Also for Fire Smart programming, we had 14 chipping days in rural communities. That was a program that launched the year prior in 2024. And 341 home assessments were done to electoral area properties, and just over 551 properties in total where structures were assessed on those properties for Fire Smart principles. So that's a bigger number than the previous year. We did have additional capacity for Fire Smart reps, basically coordinators, to go out in certain areas. Places like Pritchard, we had fire department members doing these assessments. So that went a long way in helping resource that. Obviously, Tobiano Cherry Creek fire protection, a ton of work went into the public assent for that. Review of municipal fire protection agreements in electoral areas, and KSAR facility, which we'll hear about in a couple minutes, and the planning that's gone into that. Some of the other updates in this report in front of you. So were there any questions there, Chair?
Any question? Have the address signs started being delivered, or are they still on order?
Through the chair, yes. I know it's been a bit systematic just based on how they've trickled in. So we've kind of gotten them in different batches. Behind reception, if you were to look at Taylor's desk, there's a whole row filled there, and there's probably hundreds that are waiting to be picked up now. So generally, they're arranging with every single property owner and meeting their needs, but generally people are coming to pick them up. I know in some cases, our Fire Smart reps, when they've been out in communities, have committed to being able to drop them off if they're in the area. So there's different arrangements for potentially dropping them off, but most people are picking them up.
Because I noticed a few new ones in the Cherry Creek area on my way through, and I saw the green signs. I thought, I guess the program's working.
They're a little less
now I
bold,
know.
but you can actually kind of tell what the new ones are.
Yes.
The lettering is a bit less bold.
Director Grenier?
Thank you, Chair, and thanks for the presentation on the fire response teams. Just to add to that, you might recall that we, as a board, asked School District 73 to provide a site, an old school site. On that old school site, a CCAN has been deployed to contain and house the emergency equipment of that team. So they have two sets of equipment, one at Red Lake, one in the Tronquil Valley and Meadow Creek area. And so we've been able to achieve so much with a relatively modest amount of money, and it's having an impact for them. So thank you very much.
Any other questions? All right, on to segment 5.
And just one project update on here. Sorry, I think we'll just need that back on the screen for one more sec there. And just a quick update on the ERP, the Enterprise Resource Planning System project. Basically updating our old antiquated software systems at the TNRD, to make that a bit simpler speak. With that, obviously a lot of work happened in 2025. You, the board, approved contracts for both of our new systems that we're working on, for a new HR system and a new finance system for payroll and other departments there. We're expecting both of those systems to go live later this year. Soonest would be summer, is my understanding. There are 3 temporary staff positions in place to support launching and getting this all set up and workflows all set up. And again, this is being done to replace outdated software systems. These 2 systems are replacing about 4 or 5 different old software systems. So this will benefit staff workflow and productivity, get rid of some of the redundancy as well in some of the tasks that staff have to do when they're working in these systems. And then other projects that were updated in this section, in this report, comments on asset management planning, monthly film industry engagement sessions. It should be film industry network engagement sessions. The acronym is FINE. And email list for our statutory notice notifications. That's all there to read if you'd like. I'll pause if there's any questions there, Chair.
Any questions? No? All right, thank you.
Yeah, that's all.
Oh, okay. All right, there we go. I thought you were going to put a little bow on it and had a nice little wrap up, but thank you very much for that presentation. And just as we look to the year ahead, CEO Hildebrandt referenced the fact that we are in our final year, which is hard to believe. And I know it can sometimes be easy to look back and go, well, what did we really accomplish? And if you look at this, a lot has been accomplished. And when I say we, I mean collectively, staff, directors, everyone. There's a lot there, and they're not all big and flashy and showy, but they are all important, and we all had a hand in them in some way. So I think we can give ourselves a little pat on the back. We don't want to get complacent or cocky, but we can take pride in these accomplishments. And thank you to staff for taking, and it's so easy for us to say, we direct staff to do this. And thank you for hearing all that and then just going off and doing it and making us look good. All right, we move on to 12.1.5, proposed Kamloops Search and Rescue Hall. And I think before we move to the recommendation, Mr. Vieira, did you have a few words you wanted to say?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Board. Not going to do a formal presentation, going to let the report speak for itself. I do anticipate some productive questions and discussions on the report because I've had a few questions already. So a couple comments I want to make before we get into discussion. If you haven't figured it out, the folks in the red shirts and jackets behind us are from Kamloops Search and Rescue. Specifically, the President, Paula Davies, is here. She's addressed this board before on a few different occasions on this project. So just wanted to highlight that she's willing and able to answer any questions specific to Kamloops Search and Rescue operations that maybe that I couldn't. But obviously I can speak to the project and what's proposed in the report. Secondly, I wanted to just address one question off the top because I received it from multiple board members in the last few days. And so it's to provide some clarification. The question that's been raised over the few days was how the agreement between the TNRD and the City of Kamloops would work if this project went ahead. More specifically, what reassurances would the TNRD have that Kamloops couldn't decide 10 years down the road, for example, that they want the whole building as a fire hall and essentially kick us off because they own the property. So the details of the agreement between the TNRD and City of Kamloops haven't been finalized yet, but I want to assure this board, both Kamloops and TNRD have already been in discussion with our legal departments on this matter. And the plan that we both agreed to is that there will be a very robust long-term lease agreement in place between TNRD and City of Kamloops, which recognizes the financial contributions, essentially clarifying the ownership of the assets that are on the property, guaranteeing that this split of the shared building and how that the shared building is in place will continue over the long term. The actual there's a few different options about how that gets set up, whether it would be a strata. I mentioned in the report that a strata probably is not an option because of the reverter clause on the property, but there's other legal options that we could pursue to make sure it's clear for the long term. So I just wanted to address that. And then related to that, to be clear, the proposal would be that then TNRD would then enter into an agreement with Kamloops Search and Rescue. So they would essentially be subletting our portion of the building. So if any time in the future Kamloops Search and Rescue ceased to exist or had some significant changes, then the portion of the building that TNRD is responsible for would go back to TNRD's control, not go back to the City of Kamloops. So with that, I will put it back to the chair for any discussion or questions.
All right, so questions and discussion to start. We already have Director Middleton, or I already have Director Middleton on my list. All right, Director Sow, Director Thorpe. Houghton. All right, that's enough to get us going. So Director Middleton.
Good, and thank you very much. And thank you very much to KSAR for being here today in such significant numbers. You must have hung around our meeting here waiting for your opportunity, and I know you're giving up a lot of time to be here. So, and at any moment you could be called out. So I appreciate that that you're all here today. This is so critically important for our community to advance forward, and timeliness is part of that equation. Is the longer we wait, the more things cost. The longer KSAR is in limbo as to where they're going to be able to relocate to operate out of. I know that there have been a number of community supporters, businesses and individuals who are just hanging tight a little on making contributions to KSAR and to their capital project based on the outcome of what we do here today. So I do think that timing is of the essence and we need to move forward. I just have one question on our recommendation, and maybe if I went back and reviewed the report, I would have the question answered, but just for a quick answer is, we see the recommendation comes through that the alternative approval process for the following, and then items 1 and 2. Do we actually need to have an AEP for item 1 on that? Or is the AEP really for the borrowing of the funds to actually build the building as opposed to the operation of? I just worry that, do they both have to go to AEP, or is it really the one that goes to AEP and the other is just evolves upon the success of the AEP?
Thank you. Through the chair, yes, both of those need to be approved through an AAP because it would be the creation of a new service that funds the ongoing operation and the borrowing. But the way the public assent would work is it'd be a single question that it'd be both of those things get approved.
But it is single question.
A single question, yes.
So it is one AEP process for both
For
items.
both questions.
Okay, thank you very much. And I hope that next term, for any of those of us that are still around this table, we'll have a chance to do ribbon cutting at a facility that's desperately needed here in Kamloops and region. Thank you very much.
And just say thank you, Director Middleton. Your mention of the AAP reminded me that I wanted to ask Mr. Vieira. I know it's in the report, but could you perhaps just give us the Coles Notes version of why staff are recommending that we go to the alternative approval process rather than the straight to a referendum?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, so a number of reasons. First and foremost is this type of project is well suited for an AAP because of the low tax impact that it has. So we're looking at about a $7 per year tax impact to the average resident. The other factor is the cost. The cost of a regional referendum would be very, very high. And to be honest, we've had some staff discussions about how we would even achieve a regional referendum. We've never undertaken that, at least not to my awareness, ever in the TNRD, because the regional referendum would have to have polling stations not only in the every electoral area, but also every municipality. It would have to be run. So it'd be a very significant cost to run a referendum opposed to an AAP. So essentially, the AAP is more realistically achievable to actually run the process. Also, from a timeliness point of view, the process could happen this spring or summer. It's a 30-day period that the AAP process runs. So therefore, we could have, in theory, a service established and begin the project in the 2027 year, whereas that may not be achievable through a referendum.
Thank you. I have Directors Sal, Thorpe, Houghton, Sarai, and O'Reilly. Director Sal.
Thank you, Chair, to staff. I'm just wondering what kind of framework for the operating decisions, should this go ahead, would be between City of Kamloops and TNRD, just going off of, for example, the North Thompson Sportsplex. If City of Kamloops wishes to do more additions to the building in the future, how would that work with the TNRD? Thank you.
Yeah, through the chair. So that's something that would also be contemplated in that long-term lease agreement. So the way in the discussions we have with staff that we envision it is that there'd be a portion of the building allocated that's essentially exclusive use of the TNRD and ownership of the TNRD, a portion of the building that's exclusive use of the City of Kamloops by KFR, and then there'd be a recognition that there's shared common space, and then there would be language in there about how the costs of the shared common space are, the process of any repairs and maintenance, booking rooms, et cetera. So to your specific question about improvements, if there was, for example, an addition needed on the KFR side for an additional bay, that portion would be 100% covered by the city and vice versa on the Kamloops side. In the shared portion, it'd be shared costs, presumably the same split of the capital, the 75-25.
Sorry, supplement to that. So the joint, like the ones that would affect both sides, it would be a joint decision. Both parties has to agree to, making that joint improvement.
Yes, the decision-making process, although I can't tell you exactly what that is, would be included in that agreement that we'd enter into with City of Kamloops.
Thank you. Director Thorpe.
Thank you, Chair. Question and then a comment. Question is, thank you for explaining about the robust lease, but my question would be that whatever lease we enter into, would it be similar to the lifespan of the building, and what time frame do you anticipate that would be approximately?
Yes, we anticipate a long-term lease, like at least a 50-year lease agreement. And that would be tied to the life of the asset.
Thank you. My second comment is I would not be in favor of an AAP. I would like it to be public assent. The perceptions for AAPs have not been positive, and we do have an election coming up October 17th. I think that we could tie the voting into the election that does go across the TNRD and all the municipalities. I think that we need to ensure that people feel that they have an actual vote. And that perception is really, really important. And I'm concerned about the more distant residents outside of the Kamloops area feeling that they have been able to participate and their desire to participate. So as far as the AAP, I would not be in favor of that. I would, however, be in favor of assent voting on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Houghton.
Thank you, Chair Roden. Just want to make a few comments. This kind of project kind of reminds me of how we did it at the Monty Creek Fire Hall, where a family donated a piece of ground, for a certain specific item, and that was the Monty Creek Fire Hall on behalf of the Herman family. I believe Director O'Reilly, I believe it's R. Devick and Sons Cattle Company, the Devick family have donated this piece of ground for this facility and for it to be a joint venture like this, because everything costs so much money nowadays. These standalone projects, I think this is the way of the land if we're going to accommodate certain things. Kamloops needs a new fire hall in Rayleigh, and KSR needs a new home. And I think if you compare that to what we're going to try and achieve or going to achieve at the top of the hill in Dufferin with the skating rink and including a library, these kind of things are the way we're going to have to go. And I would be in support of this. I think the timing is right, and I think we need to get along with it. And processes are processes. I mean, it's a smaller ask than some of the AAPs that have been in front of a lot of the municipalities in the past. And I think for this application it would work just fine. And I think we better take the opportunity and run with it. I do not want to see the you know, one go ahead, not go ahead, then we're gonna have to go find another location for a piece of ground similar to the Cherry Creek Tobiano Fire Hall situation. I'd be in favor of supporting this this referendum. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Sarai.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just want to comment and then move forward. I'm looking at the Vernon search and rescue. A few years ago, we were up in Silga doing a retreat, and we went and had a tour of that. And if I remember correctly, that was also land donated, and then the Vernon Council of the time and the RDO there supported some money to build that, and it's a world-class facility. When I'm looking at this, and as Director Houghton said, this is a perfect combination to for the safety of the area that the fire hall is going in, for Kamloops, the city of Kamloops and the area, but also for search and rescue. And I give a lot of you credit for the number of years that you've dedicated time working out of not the best facilities, and you still show up wherever you get bounced around to year after year, and still show up and do the duties that you're doing. And when I see an opportunity like this, where there's a shared cost, and not only a shared cost between two governments, but a landowner that is donating land for this specific reason, I think it's a win for everybody, including the residents. As Director Thorpe said, I'm a little opposed putting it on a referendum. I don't want this to be an election issue. I don't want candidates running for and against something that has got to do with safety. So I will move the recommendations 1 and 2.
Second.
All right, so the recommendation has been moved and seconded, and on my speakers list, I have Director O'Reilly and then Director Getz.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to make a couple of comments as to why I will be supporting this. I think we got to look back at what we have seen this board over the last 2 to 3 years, and we've made recommendations and we've continued to move forward. We have received letters of support from every search and rescue in our regional district saying this is a good thing and Kamloops should be getting this. And I don't think that should fall on deaf ears at all. And we also, I don't say we, but KSAR also services the area that doesn't have search and rescue, including Pritchard, Vavenby, and Wallachine. And we look deeper into the report, and it will also be used as an EOC for the TNRD training if needed. It gives us space when we need it most, and that's been talked about a lot around here. I respect Director Sarai bringing up Vernon, but I can tell you, going back in September, the Kelowna Regional District just approved a Kelowna search and rescue, and they contributed significantly more money to the facility. They're spending $10 million for a 9,500 square foot facility. We're spending $7 million for an 11,000 square foot facility. And that kind of negates some of the conversations I've been hearing around the table that this is too fancy, it's too glorious. It's not at all. I think what's being presented has been scaled back to the bare minimum, but also giving KSAR that capacity to service the region that we need. And lastly, I think talking about the perception of an AAP not being a good thing, that's a political conversation. We're still here. We shouldn't be making decisions based on the next election. And the perception of the AAP wasn't that it was a bad thing. It was a group of individuals that didn't like the facilities themselves, and they used the AAP as the reason why. And that's okay. But the AAP has been approved by the provincial government for over 60 years as a method to provide financing for large facilities. And that's where we're at today. I think lastly, I'll comment the time delay, and I can speak from the city of Kamloops side, the time that we lost when the AAP was challenged going through, we lost millions of dollars in donations that still have not come back because that donation money went elsewhere. And we've heard from KSAR that that's a very real concern for the donators that they have lined up. They've already said, we are worried about the money leaving, and delaying it another 9 months, that money will leave. That's not a position we want to be in. And I fully support moving forward with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Getz.
Thank you, Chair. And Merritt, we've already done this. We've done this with the
Nicola-based rapid attack up at the airport. We own the land. They put the building on top of it. We came up with a 25-year lease times 2, no cost riser on the taxes. And it's worked out really well. And the reason we put the no cost riser on the taxes is if the province ever decides to leave, the building becomes the city's at no charge. And it's worked out really well. We've also do this with the golf course. We own the land, or the curling rink. We own the land, they own the building. We have leases that get signed every year. So it's very easy to manage this, and we've done it really well. So no sense inventing the wheel. If you need anything, I'm sure our staff could help you out with that, because we're already 10 years into the rapid attack building up there. So, and no issues at all.
Thank you, Director Thorpe, then Director Sao.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not opposed to what we're talking about. However, I have had a talk with a number of my residents, and they want to have a say. The AAP is not something that sits well with them, and I'm here to represent my residents. And I know it may not make sense to some of you, but to them it does. And they want to actually be able to have that vote. They want to put it in that ballot box. And I think that we owe that to our residents as in terms of, and I don't want it to be a political thing. And if we rush this through, it is going to become a political thing, particularly for those of us outside of the Kamloops area. That's number one. Number two, from what I understand that Jamie said, it would be the spring or summer before the alternate set process could happen. Our elections happen October 17th. So if we tied this into the elections, like did the balloting at the same time, we would only be missing a couple of months at most, assuming everything went picture perfect. So that's my particular feel on it. And in listening to my residents, I am going to be the voice for them. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Directors Sao, Newstater, and Carpug.
Thank you, Chair. Let me start off by saying I am in favor of this. However, with due respect to Director O'Reilly, I just want to make a point for my Area A residents watching. I don't agree with the comparison that just because Kelowna had millions of dollars more to spend than we, then we should do the same. I think we should measure it, as Director O'Reilly mentioned, of all the other support that we have, because my residents in Area A, particular Vavenby, Birch Island, they are not living in Kelowna. We don't have the economic opportunities to pay the similar rates and taxes in Kelowna. So I just want to say that for the record for my residents watching. Thank you.
Okay, Director Newstater.
Thank you, Chair. I think this might be a really good opportunity for education around the AAP process as well, because I do think there's a perception that an AAP removes an opportunity to engage in the process, and it's actually the opposite. It's a different opportunity to engage, but absolutely, people have the opportunity to say, this doesn't work for me, I don't want to participate in this, and add their voice just as any other democratic process, including, being able to put essentially a ballot in a box, which is the paperwork. And honestly, when I think about the AAP process from a rural perspective, it seems much simpler to engage in because they are able to receive those forms, submit those forms. They don't have to go to a centralized location in the same way. So I just want to be really clear and encourage some education around that AAP process. It is a public participation and engagement process. So I just want to make sure that the perception isn't out there that you actually remove opportunity. It's a very clear opportunity to say, I do or do not support this. And again, particularly when we're talking about something that will literally save lives and save money and create opportunity. And this isn't a rushed process at all, in my opinion. This board has been talking about it for a number of years already, very thorough. KSAR has come repeatedly and demonstrated in statistics, as well as information, volunteers, all the way through to those that they rescue and those that they serve. These have been public conversations that have been ongoing. So I don't think calling this a rushed process would be accurate either. And I just want to make sure we don't lose sight of all the education that we've received over the course of the last number of years about how critical and important this is and how challenging it is to find a location. And then I would also say, as someone with extensive experience in fundraising, professional experience in fundraising, those dollars are hard to find and they are easy to lose, and competition has never been higher or greater. And people who are looking to invest philanthropically need to invest those dollars on a timeline as well. This isn't a perceived risk of losing these dollars. This is really something that could be the difference between a successful project and a not successful project, which also means lives that are saved or lives that are compromised. So I'll be supporting this because the business case makes sense, because they have gone out and they have done their work, their homework, they've pounded the pavement, they have looked for various opportunities. This is the best. This is the best we can do for our region and to ensure that this vital work is possible. And again, we thank the volunteers who have given their time to make this possible as well. It's an extraordinary community service, and I think this board has an obligation to support it.
Thank you, Director Karpuk, then Director O'Reilly and Director Laird.
Thank you, Chair. First and foremost, absolutely echo my colleague, Director Newstater's commentary on this, that an AAP does not remove a voting option. It's just a different way to do it. And as Director O'Reilly points out, been around for over 60 years. I have two questions, and I'm going to direct the first one to Mr. Vieira. And this has to do with delays. As you said, going to an AAP allows us potentially to have this before possibly September carried out, given the 30-day period that I think is the bare minimum required. But if it were to go to a referendum, what would be the delay? And then what would be the possibility of additional costs? Because things don't get cheaper when you kick them down the road 8 months, 9 months, a year, or 2 years. So the first question would be, is there likely to be more cost, not just in running the referendum, but in the project cost by delaying it? And if you could answer what that might be.
Thank you. Tough question. I'll answer the easier part first, which I wanted to just provide clarity on because there's been few comments. So the cost of actually running the referendum, even if it's coincides with the local government referendum, will be significant, because not only would we have to have polling stations in electoral areas where maybe there's an acclamation, we would also have to figure out how to run polling stations within every member municipality who would also be eligible, plus the cost of mail-in ballots. So every time we send out a mail-in ballot, it's $2.14. So that adds up really quick as well. These would be separate mail-in ballots. So Ms. Jeremiah and I were just doing some quick and dirty math this morning on this. We don't have hard and fast numbers, but we're looking at a minimum of $50,000 to $100,000 additional cost to run a referendum. Your second question around the additional costs of delaying the project, I can't put a number to that. All I could say is what's already been said around this table. We know that when we delay projects, costs do not go down, inflation goes up, and that is a risk. I would agree with that.
Thank you for that. Chair, if I may, if we could have President of KSAR, Paula, come up. I just have a question with regards to KSAR's benefit to our region in the context of, do you provide, and I'll wait for you to get up to the mic on this, if you could just sort of enlighten us a little bit about the benefit of KSAR and what you do for our region with other groups in training and education, and just how far does that extent go? Is it other fire departments? Is it, where does that go? Because I see this as a possibility for this not just being a place for as a base of operation, but as a place where you can train and enhance the skills of so many others that service our regional district. And maybe I'm wrong on that, but that's how I view it.
Yeah, thank you. No, for sure. This facility would end up being a regional training hub. There are 5, if you include South Caribou, other SAR teams in the region. And we don't often get to train together or meet. We've also been asked by the Justice Institute to have to hold courses, and we don't have any place to do that. So this regional building would serve as a training space, a meeting space, a space that we can conduct business. And it's really important because these teams are teams that we work with. I will reach out to them if I need mutual aid, so if I need more boots on the ground. As well, if a call comes into another SAR team in the TNRD, they will reach out to us to have those boots on the ground in a timely fashion. And we're talking about where we go is all of the TNRD. So, up to Blue River, out to Lytton, Chase, down to Nicola Valley. It's an extensive region that we cover. Thanks.
Thank you. Director O'Reilly, then Directors Laird and Bass.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just want to respond to Director Sao because I just feel like it was lost in translation and maybe that was the way I got it across or how it was received. But just in regards to the cost that I talked about, this facility versus Kelowna, I was trying to show how the budget is a lot lower for ours cost per square foot. For a similar facility, the Kelowna KSAR site came in at a little over $1,000 a square foot. This facility is coming in about $635 a square foot. So what I'm trying to show is that it's not a super fancy Taj Mahal building. They've scaled back to as little as they can, but also providing what they need for now and in the future. And so I just wanted to show that it's, hey, we're not going to build this mansion. We're getting what we need, not what we necessarily want. Thank you.
Director Laird.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just for clarification to the public, could you explain the difference between the two processes? What's required for going to a referendum and to this particular voting? There is a difference, and I'm not sure what it is.
So beyond the additional voting spaces and the opportunities for advanced voting and mail ballot voting, we would need 50% plus one of the approved voters. So in favor for a referendum, we would require 10% of the population of the TNRD, which is approximately 143,000, against the or opposed to the AAP.
Thank you.
And Director Bass.
Thank you. If there's one thing I've learned in the last 7+ years is there's always people out there who don't like what we're doing. I've also learned that they don't represent the majority. They're just loud. And I don't think we need to make our decisions based on a loud group that just don't like what we're doing when we're really representing a bigger group that just wants this done.
Thank you. So basically with an AAP, if you are vehemently opposed to this idea, then you will take your ballot and you will register it. And if 14,300 odd people do that, then the AAP fails. And you have 30 days in which to do it. I've already spoken with staff about the need for a full court press on this, absolute transparency, a full campaign and program explaining exactly what we're doing, exactly why we're doing it. And we would all need to get behind it because we all have a part to play. And I would suggest that each one of us who wants to support this and wants to be informed and to inform our residents needs to find out instances where KSAR has come into your area. In 2017 in Ashcroft Cache Creek area, Mayor Ranta will remember this, Director Ranta very well. KSAR were instrumental in the search for Fire Chief Clayton Cassidy of Cache Creek. It was a terrible time, and KSAR's presence there at that time to assist in the search for Fire Chief Cassidy was huge support for people in the area. But one that doesn't get remembered so much is in October of 2017, a woman named Jenny LaRocque, traveling from Prince George to the Fraser Valley with her Great Dane, disappeared near Venables Valley. It was October, getting cold, getting snowy and frosty. Climate conditions were getting bad. KSAR came in to try and find Ms. LaRocque as well. Sadly, they were unable to find her. But those are just two instances where KSAR has come in. In one instance, Chief Cassidy was found, Ms. LaRocque was not found. I suspect in both cases, the presence of KSAR, quite apart from the success or otherwise of their mission, was of huge support to the family and friends of the missing people. And I think that if we dug just a little bit into each of our areas, we would find many such stories involving KSAR and, of course, our many other wonderful search and rescue people. I'm personally in favor of going ahead with an AAP. I know that our staff will do a fantastic job of communicating to the public what an AAP is, why we are doing it, and we will all do a fantastic job of explaining why this is so very, very vital and important to the entire region. This is what AAPs were designed for. It's $7 per year on the bill of the average TNRD resident. And I think $7 a year for the average household is a tiny price to pay for what KSAR does. And I'm not for a moment suggesting that anyone sitting around this table disagrees, because I know that we are all in agreement on this. It's just the process. And I don't think we need to get bogged down in the details of the process. I think we need to go ahead. This is, I believe, the fourth time that KSAR has presented to us on this subject. So we are all well versed. And I think we need to push ahead and get this done as quickly as possible so that we can start moving forward. Having said that, any other questions or comments? We do have a recommendation. And just a reminder that this is an unweighted vote, but we do need a 2/3 majority in favor in order to move ahead. So 2/3 majority of the 27 is, we need 19 votes minimum in favor. Corporate Officer Jeremiah.
I stand corrected when I gave you that number. It is 18. Thank you.
We need 18 votes in favor. No, it's already moved. I'm just reminding everyone. So we need 18 votes in favor. Thank you for being better at math than I am, Corporate Officer Jeremiah. Oh, we're going to wait until Director Ranta gets back in, just because. Oh, here he comes.
We waited for you.
We waited.
170 or something?
So we do need a majority. So we need a 2/3 majority. So 18 votes minimum in favor. So we do have a recommendation. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Do we need to go through and name everyone? Should we go through and name everyone?
I think we're okay.
So I will ask the people opposed to please raise your hands. All right, we have Director Thorpe. Anyone else opposed? All right, that is carried. All right, thank you. We move on to 12.1.6, building permit activity. Anyone have any questions or comments on this item? All right, for information, we have the Wells Gray Country Services Committee minutes from December 2nd. Anyone have any questions or comments? Thank you, members of KSAR, for coming here today. We have 3 separate recommendations coming out of the committee of the whole meeting from December 12th, and these need to be done one at a time. So first recommendation, Director Sarai, thank you. Seconded by Director Kerslake. This is to enable additional dwellings on parcels between 1 and 3.99 hectares. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried. Recommendation 2, that the board approve TNRD Parks and Trails Strategic Plan.
So moved.
Director O'Reilly, seconded by Vice Chair Smith. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried. And number 3, that the board prioritize the following topics for advocacy in 2026: small water utility systems, agricultural land commission, invasive species management funding, and BC assessment pipeline valuation. So moved. Director Houghton moved that. Director Thorpe moved that. Director Smith seconded it. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried. Any questions or comments on the Utility Systems Committee meeting from December 10th? Nope. Correspondence. Excuse me, items for action. The first item is Village of Cache Creek, a letter from Mayor John Ranta, and I'm going to make a motion that we refer this to the Solid Waste Committee for discussion there. Seconded by Director Grenier. Thank you. Discussion? All right, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. 14.1.2, this is the letter in your blue folder to which I referred earlier, Kamloops Airport's BCAAP application. And they are looking for a letter of support from the board. Director Getz? Oh, Director Sarai.
Thank you, Chair. Can I just speak to it real briefly, just to give the board some update? This is the capital project that it's been in the plans for a number of years. And the terminal building, this is the first phase that we're asking for some grant money to improve the holding area, washroom, seating, HVAC. It's part of a $10 million upgrade to our regional airport that'll be done in phases, but this is the first phase. And the plan is even to get this grant. But if we're not successful, the society and the airport Vantage are still going ahead with this. And we just hope that the grant can come in sooner and we can get onto the second phase as well. This will give improved passenger comfort and safety to all the traveling public immediately and in the future.
Okay, thank you. Director Grenier?
Just asking Director Sarai, where's the balance that you see coming if you do or don't get the grant?
We will use that from society's capital funding.
And do you have that in hand, or is that something that you have to?
We will have that in hand, and there will be no added pressure of borrowing.
So would someone like to make a motion that we write a letter of support? Moved by Director Bass, thank you. Seconded by Director Morris. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Well, the last time I looked at you, Director Getz, you had your hand in the air, but it looked like you were pulling something up. Okay. All right, so that is carried. All right, we move on to 14.1.3, agritourism zoning and the need for clear policy guidance from the Clearwater and District Chamber of Commerce. They do have an ask. I would just say that this is the first time that we have heard a concern about agritourism. I will remind everyone that item 11.2 today was about agritourism. Late last year, we approved the agritourism request from the operator, a Deadman Vedette. I am firmly of the belief that the planning department here is very happy to support agritourism and to walk anyone through the process and all the steps in that progress anytime they want to ask. We support agritourism in all its many and varied facets. We are just trying to ensure that everyone follows the rules and does things safely for members of the traveling public. So does anyone feel that we need to refer this or do anything with this item other than receive and file? Director Sal?
I just want to make a comment as a board member of the Tourism Wells Gray in reference to this letter from the Chamber of Commerce, Clearwater and area. The second page there it states Tourism Wells Gray has taken the lead in advancing the idea of an agritourism business toolkit, etc. I just want to state for the record that that is not the case. This request came before the Tourism Wells Gray Board of Directors. The board has made the decision that Tourism Wells Gray is a destination marketing organization, has no mandates whatsoever in bylaws and zoning and business activities. So I just want to say that for the record, I do not believe they speak for the Tourism Wells Gray Board of Directors. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to make a motion that we receive and file this letter for information. Second by Director Hall. Thank you. Discussion. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Thank you. That's carried. We have 2 items for information only. Does anyone have any questions or comments about either of those? Do we have any new business from members? Director Houghton. I'm just going to check with Director Getz. Do we have any new business from Director Getz? You're good? Awesome. Director Houghton, go ahead.
Just make this quick. I just want to let you know that one of my other things I'm involved in, of course, is the cattle industry and the Angus breed in Canada, the Aberdeen Angus breed, which is, one of the leading breeds in the beef world. Make a long story short, in June 25th and 26th of this year, the BC Angus Association is hosting the Canadian Annual Convention here in Kamloops at the Coast Hotel. We'll have about 250 delegates from the Maritimes out to British Columbia, and we're going to host them TNRD style. I use that term. The previous location that they were inside of a brick wall for 3 days. We're going to load 2 buses, head down 5A, and of course I'll be one of the tour guides. And we're gonna tour the Douglas Lake Cattle Company and the Nicola Ranch, have lunch at, I believe it's Nicola Ranch, and a big feast at the old Colchana Hotel in Colchana. We're going to wake it up. It's been closed for a while, but the good folks at Douglas Lake are going to let us have it. We're going to have a live country band there. So we're going to bring some activity to Kamloops, some business to the economy of the city of Kamloops and the TNRD area, and I'm really proud to do that. I know I've reached out to TNRD staff for filler package for the packages that are going out. And we're going to feature the TNRD Film Commission. I know that'll make Chair Roden happy. Terry's going to do up a booklet, I believe, on all the different things that have happened and can happen with great geography that we have. I'm going to reach out to the City of Kamloops for some City of Kamloops pins, and I've already touched base with Director Gates for something from the City of Merritt. So trying to get everybody involved. We've got good sponsorship. I took our good friend Bob Miller around town yesterday, went to 2 major locations and got 2 healthy donations from people within this area. And I've asked Chair Miller from the Angus Association to ask somebody from the City of Kamloops to bring greetings from the city the morning of the meeting at the convention center. And I think that's just the right thing to do when you bring people to town. And I don't know, you requested Director Hall, so there must be a connection back in the hockey days or something, Kelly Hall. But anyhow, I just wanted to announce that. I'm really proud of that. Things that I worked on with Bob Miller. And last time this was hosted in BC was in Comox. And I think we'll shake their boots up here in June. Thank you.
Director Smith and then Director Sal.
Thank you, Chair. Just wondering if you can get them to take a look at the steak prices? Thank you.
Director Sal.
Thank you, Chair. Unfortunately, less joyous news than Director Houghton. I just wanted to give an update from the Upper Clearwater Volunteer Fire Brigade. They were very expectant of a grants from the BC Lottery Gaming Fund to fund their fire hall. Unfortunately, it did not go through. So they are looking for donations. I'm looking at Director in the Upper Clearwater there. And if you know of any third-party funding sources, suggestions, please get in touch with me and I can point you to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Karpak.
I guess it's a handoff from my area director as I now have a chunk of dirt. And interestingly, earlier, I think Colton's picture actually shows a road I've been on from the Upper Clearwater Valley more times than I've probably been on in a long, long time, going back and forth to Wellsbury Park. But I think we have some ideas on how we could maybe get that to a little further across the line. I just wanted to come back to this last Sunday, and I'm wondering if the board would be interested in sending a letter of thanks to Minister Anderson and her assistant that took the time to stop by TNRD and hear our concerns for as long as they did, not just here, but across the region. I think we had some good ideas that were brought forth. And I think reiterating that point with a letter to follow up and perhaps some future visit in the future may be more fruitful than letting it go. So I just wonder if there's an opportunity, if I put forward a motion to send a letter of thanks to the minister for her time here on Sunday when many were at home having rest or doing something else.
CEO Hildebrand.
Thank you, Chair. Staff were talking about that as well because there was a number of questions came up in our presentation that we'd like to follow up. So this would correspond nicely with that, we could wrap it all together and get that sent out.
So would you like to make that motion, Director Karpa?
I think I did. I'm just looking for a seconder.
All right, Director Blackwell seconding that. Any discussion? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? That is carried. Is there any other new business? No? No notices of motion, I take it? All right. I'm going to move that we move into closed meeting under Community Charter, Sections 91A, personal information about an identifiable individual who holds or is being considered for a position as an officer, employee, or agent of the regional district, or another position appointed by the regional district. 91C, labor relations or other employee relations, and 92BI, the consideration of information received and held in confidence relating to negotiations between the regional district and a provincial government or the federal government or both, or between a provincial government or the federal government or both, and a third party. Director O'Reilly seconds that. Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you very much. We are moving into closed session. Just a couple of minutes, please, and then we'll be back here.